My name is Sarah Daniels. I am the chair of the Parks Board, Board of Park Commissioners for the City of Lacey. Apologize, we had some technical challenges prior to the meeting, so we are getting a little late start. We're calling the meeting to order. It's 5:38. Additions or deletions to the agenda. So first, I'd like to just remind commissioners, although a couple of our commissioners are not here, just to remind everyone that it's helpful for Sue, for Sarah Smith to get everyone's RSVPs in a timely manner, just so that we know in advance if we have a quorum or not. Just wanted to mention for as far as additions or deletions to the agenda, because we're missing two of our long-term commissioners this evening, we would like to postpone item 8A, which would be commissioner nominations and elections for 2022. We have new people here tonight, and unfortunately, anyway, we need our longer term members to be present for that conversation. Jen, didn't we just agree we're going to go ahead and discuss 8C and D, but the other one that we would like to postpone then without any conversation is 8E, which is a training that we were going to do tonight. We'll just postpone that so that more of us are available to take it at the same time. So if I can get
Sarah,
sorry, please go ahead.
The other one I didn't even have a chance to tell you about, 9A. We'll be removing that one. We don't have that staff person here today.
Okay, so we're going to then remove 8A, 8E, and 9A. Unless there are any other changes, I'm hoping for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I will make a motion to approve agenda as amended.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Cool. Thank you, Wendy. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Yay. All right. Thank you. Okay, so the agenda is approved as amended. Announcements and introductions. I think, Jen, you want to get us started on that.
Yeah, so really the first most important and exciting announcement is that we have officially expanded our park board from 5 to 7 members. So that's a significant step for us, and we're so happy to have 2 of our added commissioners here tonight. And so that happened on October 7th. And they have had their orientation. So the only new commissioner that we had prior to that point that needs their orientation is Gary. So Sarah S. is going to schedule that with Gary Larson, who's not here tonight. But we are really excited, Camber and Wendy, to have you here. We are going to have you do a quick introduction at this point, and then I think what we were going to do is have you share a little bit more about yourself during your commissioner report today. But I think we'll even just wait for that until next meeting so that everybody can get to know everybody. So I think we'll have a better turnout in December, and we'll make sure of that. But we do appreciate you being here. And with that, we'll do quick announcements. Let's do the board first.
You mean introductions?
Or excuse me, introductions, yes.
Just making sure. And also want to introduce and welcome Declan as our student park board member, even though officially it was announced last month, but it's your first meeting. So again, we'll do more detailed introductions next time. And for now, just quick. So as I mentioned before, I'm Sarah Daniels, chair of the Board of Park Commissioners for Lacey.
And I am Aaron Wheeler. I'm my second term, long-term Lacey resident, and former chair, former vice chair, and yeah, that's me.
Thanks. Who do we want to go to next? Whoever, jump on in. Or Jen, do you want to?
Go ahead. So go ahead, Wendy, and then Camber.
Hi, everybody. My name is Wendy Goodwin, and I've met some of you on our survey. I'm familiar faces on here, so that makes me feel a little more comfortable. I've served in the Army for 5 years. I was out a long time ago, but I did serve. I raised 2 children here in the Lacey area, all through the school district. And I've also been a resident of Lacey for 21 years. So I've really enjoyed my time here and watching the development of our area and our communities. Help with the Thurston County Food Project, and I'm also with the adoption of foster support system, blankets, hats, clothing. Anybody needs something, I'm just trying to be there for them.
Thanks, Wendy.
That's all I have.
Go ahead, Camber.
Yes, my name is Camber Good. I also serve on the Gold Star Memorial Foundation of Lacey Board, putting up the Gold Star Family Monument over in Civic Plaza. I also live in the urban growth area of Lacey, and I have 4 children. I've only actually been here in Lacey since about 2019. I am from a military family. I'm a Gold Star wife. Also as well, I am the government affairs manager for Master Builders Association of Pierce County. So I have a pretty extensive background and knowledge in those kind of aspects. And I think, I'm looking forward to being a part of this board and seeing the development of the city. And you guys are doing some amazing things that I've been watching.
Thanks, Camber.
Thank you. Go ahead, Declan.
Hi, my name is Zach Mine. I'm a senior at Timberline High School. I will be the Parks rep for the Youth City Council. So this is my first year doing this. I'm very excited. I play and coach for Thurston County United. And so because of that, I've been to parks all over Lacey and all over Washington too. So I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Declan. And can I just say, I'm sorry, we have other introductions. Just want to say real quick that we're just so excited to have a student join our group because of COVID. It's been a couple of years. So we really need and value, youth voices, and I really appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Okay, and then as far as staff, we have Sue Falash. She's our recreation manager. She's here. And I see Jamie Oakland is on the call as well. He is our park maintenance supervisor. And we have, of course, Sarah Smith, who's our executive assistant and helping us behind the scenes. But she actually has an agenda item today. Yeah, so back to you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and welcome. And, we'll just play it by ear tonight, do the best we can, missing a couple key members. So the minutes from the last meeting. This is interesting too. Sorry, I'm just pausing because I think Aram and I are the only ones who were here last time, right? So can we? Okay.
Yep.
So approval correction of the October meeting minutes. And I think Sarah's going to share at this point. So we had our pre-meeting and a couple things came up. So I think Sarah's going to talk us through some corrected language for the minutes.
Okay, so for the minutes, there were some changes that we made to announcements and introductions. So Jen introduced new Commissioner Gary Larson and staff, then reminded the board of it wasn't the 10-7 commission hearing, it was the 10-7 city council meeting to increase Parks Board membership to 7 members. And then Chair Sarah Daniels, she reminded us that the commission nominations will be needed for chair and vice chair at the next meeting. So those were the 2 additional changes to the announcements that we made for the October minutes.
So other than that, does anyone have any corrections to the minutes, and or could I get a motion?
I have no additional corrections, and I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended.
And I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Pass. Item 5, correspondence. The first one, we had 3 items for tonight. First one is Hicks Lake.
Yeah, some information came in, a question about Hicks Lake came in and a response on that one. Same thing with 5B. Question came in about lighting at the skateboard park. And then 5C, we had a question about the Palm Creek Headwaters property. And we did actually, in response to this one, we put up a no parking sign for the request. But I'd be happy to answer quick questions you have. This is typically with the correspondence, it's typically just information for the board to read through and just to make sure you know what kind of inquiries we're getting and what the responses to those are. And if there's something that the board wants to discuss further, we would put it on a future agenda item. So happy to answer any questions about any of these.
I'm curious, Aram and any of the other new commissioners, I am curious if anyone else had any interest in talking further about the potential for lights at Rainier Vista. The software engineer who submitted doesn't matter, he's a software engineer. Anyway, but I was just looking at, so the guy who submitted this grew up skateboarding at Rainier Vista, and he's just making the point that when we get to winter and it's dark so soon, he has no opportunity to go, and was just asking about lights at Rainier Vista. So I'm interested in finding out if anyone else wants to talk about it further at a future meeting.
Yeah, I think that's an important, public safety, lighting is going to be important for skateboarding. I know there, and just knowing how quickly it gets dark and it's not necessarily sunset, at the parks. Definitely not a bad thing to want to improve, especially I would say that'll probably also encompass if we put in more pickleball courts and more tennis courts. It's all kind of in the same general area and probably could use additional lighting over on that side of the park. So I'm not against having that be a action item.
Cool. So Jen, is that enough? Could we just put it on a future agenda whenever it works for staff to add it?
Yep, it probably won't be till January, just because our
Okay.
December agenda is going to be so packed, but I will definitely do that. And then that would give staff a chance to gather some information to help educate the board about this. And then, they mentioned, we might even pull police in if there's a conversation about prevention, or safety.
And is it reasonable, or is it part of your process anyway? Would you let this person know whenever it does fall on the agenda, just so that they're aware? Yeah,
Yes.
that'd be cool. Okay, cool.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay. Do we have anything tonight for citizen public comment? Item 6. I guess that would be a Sarah Smith question, but I don't know. Sarah, usually John, if would let us know if there's anyone, or I assume
No,
not.
there is no.
Okay, great. I assume not. Okay, so old business 7A, the Lacey Parks Outreach Team Survey and Presentation. I think Jason.
Yeah, so Sarah, if you want to promote Jason in, and I will just give a quick introduction while he's coming in. We are very fortunate to have Jason Robertson with us here tonight. He is going to report out on some of the data that we found with the Parks Outreach Project. As most of you know, there he is. Hello, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
As most of you know, but some of you don't, that the project started in the first quarter of the year with the overreaching Lacey Cares outreach that the city did, which Jason helped us work through. But City Council had asked our department to, and also this board, you all, to do a deeper dive into the parks, culture, and recreation to close some communication gaps that had come to light during the 2018 Metropolitan Park District proposal process, and to align with the public for future vision for parks. So Jason helped us develop an outreach team of trusted advisors in the community based on their participation in our programs, affiliations with local clubs, and or because they shared some really valuable insights through the Lacey Cares survey, with the concept being that their insights and outreach to the community will help us create our future community engagement plan. So we had actually 2 park board members on the team, Commissioner Wheeler and Commissioner Daniels. Yep, whoop, whoop. And then Wendy Goodwin, who is now Commissioner Goodwin. So that's really exciting to have you here in both of those capacities. But I want to, before I turn it over to Jason for some slides, I really wanted to sincerely thank him publicly for all of the hard work and valuable insights that he's been able to share with us. It's been a pleasure working with him, and just appreciate you, Jason, and all the work you've put in. So
Thanks, Jen.
turn it over.
Okay. Well, it's good to be with you tonight in our virtual world. I think what I want to do is I've got 27 slides, and for a data nerd, it's like pure joy, but for non-data nerds, it can be painful. So I'm going to try to move through it pretty fast, and maybe you can just note questions and we'll come back to the things you're interested in. So I'm going to open it up. We good? Okay. So just wanted to start by saying what we really wanted to get a good response rate, and did a lot of different promotion. I want to thank Jenny in particular from the staff team, running around and posting signs and sending out emails and social media posts. And at the end of the day, we have around 1,200 completions, which is a good number. It's a solid number for a city your size. I thought we'd get to 2,000, but probably COVID fatigue. So I want to run through the demographics, because this will help you when we look at what priorities people indicated. It's not exactly like the Lacey demographic profile. It's kind of, it leans heavy in a couple of directions that I'll point out. Number one, I think it's the 35 to 44-year-old. So these are, mostly parents with younger kids that are park system users and very motivated to participate in the survey. Very few younger people, 6. And so that that could have been a failing on our part. I know we had the school district send out a information piece about it, but in the future, when we kind of figure out what are we going to do next with the vision for parks, we'll have to be more proactive in reaching youth. It also skews pretty heavy female. We know Lacey is not 65% female. But if somebody's going to be making the decisions, I'm glad it's the women. Okay, in terms of household income, it's also leaning a little on the wealthy, middle upper class, $75,000 to over $100,000 household incomes. Which, on a self-selecting survey, is not surprising. Pretty close on the demographics. We had people of all races participate, which I'm really happy about. We're off in a couple of areas, but it's not too far off. And same thing on ethnicity, about 11% of the white population are of Latino or Hispanic descent, which is pretty close to Lacey too. There's a surprising number of people without children living at home that completed the survey. And I haven't had time to dive into who they are, but we can assume it's a good percentage of seniors. And then also younger couples or single people who use the system. 7% said they don't even use Lacey Parks, but they did the survey anyway. Maybe we don't have what they want yet. And then here we asked people to indicate what park they most frequently visited, and you can see the Rack, Rainier Vista, Wonderwood you'd all expect to see up there. I think Meridian was higher than some people expected, but it's a rapidly growing neighborhood around that park. And all of us weird unincorporated county people use it too. Okay, so some of these are going to surprise you a little bit, but keep in mind there's some nuances. So some things that appear a certain way here shift a little bit when you ask a question a different way. One thing that doesn't ever change is that people want a pool or pools, like off the charts, more popular than anything. And you'll see that a couple different ways as I scroll through here. There's also a lot of support for it, and this is consistent. I should have said, when we did the Lacey Cares outreach, we asked people to tell us in their own words, what do you want Lacey to be like? And open space and trails are like the main reason. Like half the people said they moved to Lacey, what they value the most and what they want to keep. So that's not surprising. Indoor recreation is pretty high, which is, I think, a good thing. Walking trails. Sports fields, when you ask them, these are just general goals, right? We said, this is what people were talking about, what's most important. This is how it kind of fell out. And that's because you have complexes like the RAC. You do have amazing sports fields. So what you don't have is a swimming pool. That's what people are telling us. We asked people on the rest of these questions, you could choose none of these are priorities, and you can see this one's pretty low. That's a good sign for us. When I filtered, because you could vote for all 7 of these. When I filtered it by just the top 3 votes, you can see that it does shift you can see where the passion is. How many people used one of their top 3 votes for one of these goals, right? So walking trails is a top 3 winner. Public swimming pool still there. Open space still there. Indoor still there. But then playgrounds actually moves up a little bit because people who want them, right? And so they use a top 3 vote. I don't think we're going to have rangers very soon, but we'll see. Okay, and then we were fairly vague about this, but we said, some of the things that people want are going to cost money, and we're not asking you where the money comes from, but if we had to spend some money, well, how would you prioritize spending it? And this one actually surprised me a little bit, but it shouldn't have. Number 1 is continue offering affordable recreational programming. I think people understand 2 things. One is that they get subsidized programs, and they don't go to a private club because it's too expensive, and so they appreciate having this public subsidy. And then also the sense of equity. Not all people can access all things, and so if we can make it affordable for everyone to participate, that's a good thing. This is also very interesting. Secure additional parks, right? In just about every community I've ever worked in, that would be at the top. Yes, I want more parks and more places to go. And Lacey's done such a good job with it that people put it lower in the priority list. When I sort it by just people using top 2 vote, which of these actions got top 2 votes? It stays about the same. Okay. And then we asked them about programming. A lot of people are talking about programming. And so we asked them, how supportive are you? 1 is not supportive at all. 5 is completely supportive. And so I just filtered this one by people voting somewhat and very supportive. And you can see that while programming for teens and youth are about the same total, there's a little bit more number 1 or very supportive votes for the youth programming. But there's more than 50% supportive votes for all expanded programming in all areas. That's one we'll have to dig into. And then this is just your very supportive total number of votes out of like 1,200. So 584 gave their max approval to programming for youth and so forth. This programming for adults is interesting. It probably is an area that does need to be expanded. Um, but it's a pretty small subset of people who do that. Okay. When we asked them for sports fields and facilities, we gave them these choices. This is the total number of votes. Again, about 1,200 votes, and you can only pick up to 3 of them. And so we're kind of squeezing people a little bit. And these multi-purpose sports fields, now they're back on top, right? And it's, I wish we had asked, why, because it could be, they're thinking indoor. It could be thinking that they hold up better during winter play. You know how, like, I've gone to my kids' soccer games and you come back like you were in a pigsty, it gets muddy. Declan knows what I'm talking about. But cross-country trails, pretty high. Basketball courts fared well. Running tracks. Pickleball courts, you would think that would have gotten 1,200 votes by the way people talk about pickleball. But when you kind of ask the full community, that the number shrinks a little bit. It's very important to a subset of people. But it's not the most important thing for the whole community. Tennis just went nowhere. It's just no. And you can see that none of these are priors for me. That number goes up again. And these are probably your non-system users that in some of the comments you can read in between the lines that some people took the survey preemptively just to say, please don't raise my taxes. Not the majority, but a chunk. I'll give you a second for your eyes to acclimatize to this one. So what I did is I filtered it by top 3 to see where the passion is. So the blue is first place votes, the gold is second, and green's third place votes. And so the multi-purpose is still got the most first place votes, but there's a little shifting here. Like running tracks has a higher number of second place votes than either first or third. So people kind of really thought about where, what they wanted to try to save. It's like Survivor. There's tennis courts. 61 people want tennis courts. 278 want multi-purpose. So, we're building a pathway to where we need to take things. Okay, outdoor features. This one I think we let them pick 6. Shouldn't say. Look at me. Because there are more options, but so this is total votes again, 1,200. And you can see 551 votes for walking trails at the top, spray pads, swimming pool. All those are kind of head and shoulders above everything else. Nature play areas came, scored really well. People want more water access. And I don't know if that's just because they want it or it's in response to not being able to go to Long Lake where they went when they were kids and all that stuff. Dog parks is lower than I thought it would be. Climbing walls a little higher.
And look how low disc golf is, again, considering how much we hear from the enthusiastic participants.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot walk away or run away from pickleball or frisbee golf. I mean, they want it and they're organized. The staff, when we showed staff the report, there's a write-ins section, so you could write in what do you want, and people are writing in disc golf in every section, even if it didn't have anything to do with the section. So they're getting their message across. Again, sorted by top 3. This shifts a little bit, right? So in this total number of votes, swimming comes in third, but when you look at first place votes, that's the passion. That's people, 168 people use that for their first place vote. kind of dwarfs the rest of them. But again, you know, when you're thinking about how to spend money, you're going to have to figure out if the swimming pool can be pulled off, maybe in partnership with a private or a nonprofit partner. But spray parks, splash pads, there's going to be an expectation that we see one or more of those in Lacey. And you can see dog parks moved up, right? When you look at just first top scores, right? People's top priorities. So there's a smaller percentage of people where that's really important to them. A couple more here. Indoor features. Look at this one. This is the clearest victory of the evening. Indoor pool, yes, please. Indoor playgrounds. It rains here a lot. What am I supposed to do with my kids? Skating rink surprised me. Skated right up to the top. Teen center. Expanded senior center. You know, but a lot of these things, you know, Jen likes to point out, like if you put in a basketball court, you kind of get tennis, pickleball, indoor soccer, all of it together. So there's a lot of victories you can get with one indoor facility. A little higher number of people saying none of these are priorities, but not statistically significant compared to how many others voted for specific things. Same thing, first, second, third place votes. Look at the basketball people crack me up. It's number one. Basketball is number one. And then after that, if you're not a number one, you're barely a basketball fan. But the swimming pool is just as overwhelming. Okay, stuff to do. Since we're Parks, Recreation, and Culture, we did ask folks, you know, what kinds of activities would you like to have available? Specific programming that we heard from Lacey Cares engagement. And concerts and movies. Jen also likes to point out we do that already. So we don't know if they're saying we like that, keep doing that, or do more every single weekend. Something to dig into. And then pretty close parity for the rest of these, except for virtual. Nobody ever wants to do a virtual meeting ever again. Yeah. I guess of all the classes, cooking classes is the highest rated. Maybe they were hungry. Sorted by first through third again. Stays pretty consistent. Concerts, movies, fun runs moves up. Okay. There's two more here. And then cultural events, arts and culture. What kind of arts and culture would you like to have available? Street fairs and farmers market, just overwhelmingly. And then cultural events and festivals. And we presented, I gave a preview of this to the Commission on Equity so they could see that people, that's one way people want to connect and get to know each other and experience different foods and art and so forth. And we saw a lot of open-ended feedback on the Lacey Cares survey about performance venues, and it scored kind of middle of the road here. So if that can be done affordably, it'd be worth moving forward on. Last one. Same thing, sorted by first, second, and third place votes, so you can kind of look at nuances. Like musical performances didn't get a lot of first place votes, but got a lot of support. Same thing with cultural events, not as many first place votes, but it made the top 3 list for a lot of people. So stop sharing unless you ask me to pull it back up to look at a specific slide. And Jen and I can talk about what comes next, but I want to make sure you're not left bewildered by anything you just saw there.
So any questions from the commissioners, just based on what you're looking at?
Not for me. I mean, it's pretty comprehensive. I think it showed with this information, you know, when we were collecting our information, our data with the outreach group, you know, we were going to specific events and you know, I found really the answers are really directed by the event that you're at. You know, you go to a music event, people are like, I want more music events.
Yeah.
And this, you know, I think, you know, Sarah, when you said that you know, there wasn't as much disc golf, well, there probably wasn't as much exposure to the disc golf community with where they're, you know, clicking on to the app as opposed to just, you know, general park. So I can see that being skewed, but it was good to see more just general use park people, you know, at a kind of a neutral environment, like what is their thought of this? So it was good.
And so, oh, go ahead.
No. I was just going to comment about how much data, you know, just the value of collecting, you know, gathering so much data over a period of time. And just, it's always just interesting to see, you know, what you're expecting and what's a surprise. And, but I will be interested in next steps. And
Yeah, and just a quick reminder on the big picture, what we're trying to do here is we're going out and making people participate, tell us what matters to them. And then when we move forward, or especially if we ever end up needing a tax measure, we got to point to, you asked for this, and so that's why we're coming to you. It's not like this is our idea, you're going to learn to love it. People don't work like that. So this is all kind of moving in that direction, and we'll have, you know, hard evidence to you know, back our claims, so to speak.
One of the things I wanted to bring up is that we're going to need to have a pool conversation. So that was one that was at the top. As those of you that were here last year recall, the park board recommended to the council, and they agreed that the city of Lacey wouldn't participate with the project that Olympia and Tumwater are doing for the regional aquatics facility. And that's for a couple of reasons. It's because we haven't completed our outreach to our community, number one, which we're doing now. So the timing was off. And the second thing is that we do have aquatic programs to some degree with the North Thurston Public Schools, although we're hearing from the community, obviously, that they want a different format, right? And so, but, you know, I think we're going to have to come back to that conversation. You know, one of the things we're going to talk about moving forward is what are the action items and how do we bring partners to the table to make those things happen? So, you know, when I say a conversation about a pool, it doesn't necessarily mean that City of Lacey is going to pay for a pool or, you know, provide a pool. It could mean City of Lacey brings a partner in to provide that for the community. But it definitely will need to be discussed. We'll need to revisit it. It's important because it's very high up on the survey.
And do you think, Jen, that it could mean that City Council would reconsider our participation with the Olympia Tumwater effort, or is it too late? Like, is that too?
Essentially. No, it's not too late. They're actually, they're at the stage right now that they are trying to figure out, they've had their community open house, and then they're going to bring it to their council and see like next steps. And I think what they're going to ask for is to bring partners to the table and move forward with the project. So I can see it happening in a number of different ways. You know, I think the most important thing is that the community gets what they need. And so, so yeah, I mean, it could be that partnership. It could be a different type of a partnership with a nonprofit, like Jason had mentioned earlier. So I think there's different ways that it could happen. And that would have to be a discussion, but it's
Sure.
clear from the community response that that's a top
A
priority.
priority.
Yeah.
And I will note, I couldn't help myself when I looked at the preliminary results of the Olympia Tumwater study, and they actually surveyed people in every school district, including North Thurston. So there's a data point associated with that project from North Thurston. And my recollection is that, I mean, the support in Olympia Tumwater was like 94% or something, and it was 91 or something in North Thurston because, like Jen said, we've got school pools. But and some of you have been around long enough, like I have. Like I've told the story before. Just to get my kids into swim lessons, I used to have to go down to North Thurston High School at like 6 a.m. to get in line to hope to get a spot for a very specific time, right? So this isn't, a bunch of old people looking for swim lanes. This is parents desperate for help.
Yeah, good point. So what would be most helpful tonight? I mean, at this point, I know we're just looking for questions or comments, but what would be helpful for you, Jason?
Well, I think tonight I'm just, is it just a briefing? Hey, FYI, this is what we're seeing right now as you have your conversations and start building plans. I think so that we're all on the same page. I don't need anything right now. I did, when we had the staff debriefing on this, I heard a staff member say, we're not working on these things, we're working on some other things. And so I think for this group to think how you can show the public that you heard them and you're integrating their ideas starting today in your discussions is all I would ask.
And then I wanted to note that Jason, as a part of his scope of work, will be providing a full, like a complete report out. And so that will be in your next, it should be in your next packet, hopefully. And he is going to be presenting the data similar to this to the city council at a work session on November 18th.
Oh, great.
So, and then he'll be, Jason, as a part of his report, will be recommending next steps.
So Jason, do you come back to us again in December after that meeting, or do we just get your report?
Either way, I'm happy to come back.
I'm just curious. For myself, I'm curious to get the feedback from city council as well, because when they hear this, I mean, partly we have to have their support. I mean, all we can do is, make a recommendation to them, but obviously we don't really have our input is somewhat our being able to direct whatever projects is somewhat limited. And I'll be curious to see what city council says.
Yeah, so we can talk about that December 1st date. That's your next park board meeting. And so
Okay.
Jason and I can touch base on that, and we'll
Okay.
definitely keep you in the loop, but really good information. Thank you for sharing that, Jason.
Yes, Jason, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Appreciate the time. And I wish you luck with the remainder of your meeting. My dog's starting to go crazy.
Cool. All right, well, we'll release you. You're released.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, number 7, B, the COVID-19 update, Healthy Washington.
Okay, thank you. I actually don't have anything new to report on that. We keep it on here because we are still in the pandemic.
A placeholder. Okay, cool. And then, 7C is the disc golf course expansion agreement, which I believe we looked at once before. Kind of a formality at this point, but we had a little bit of change in language, I think.
Well, so what you did was approved us to move forward for the expansion. And so this is kind of a technicality, which is the actual agreement. So we were able to, rather than making a brand new agreement with the South Puget Sound Disc Golf Association, we were able to just amend their current contract and add the expansion in there.
Okay.
So yeah, we just need formal approval of the agreement, of the amendment.
So if anyone had an opportunity to look at that, I need a motion to approve the agreement as presented in the packet?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement as listed in the packet.
And I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Cool. Okay, that passed. 7D is the Greg Kuya Park Greenways Master Plan.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share the slides that were shared at the council work session. Can you guys all see this?
There it is.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, let me grab my notes here. So this will be great for the new commissioners to be able to get oriented to this project a little bit. So I had shared with you last meeting that Juliet was maybe going to be here tonight with HBB Landscape Architects, but we just had to see how the council work session went on October 14th. It went really well. So you just get me for this tonight. And I had shared with you some of the high level things we were going to show to council with the plan, which was access points, the cross-country course layout, the crossings over Carpenter Road, the suspension bridge and stakeholder feedback, and then the maintenance facility. And so I am going to zip through quickly through these slides, and I want you just to yell if you have questions. So for those of you that don't know, this is the area in Northwest Lacey. The project is 537 acres total. So that just to kind of give you, to orient you to where the properties are. This shows pedestrian access. The circles are some level of parking area, and they indicate kind of the scale. So this is the main access area here between the east and west Carpenter Road parcels. And so that's where most people will be directed to enter the park. But obviously with such a big space, it was important to have north, south, east, and west entry points. These are their preliminary plans. So you can see up here, as I go through the slides, this shows you the total property, and then this shows you the piece that we're zoomed in on. So here we see the fitness loop, food forest, demonstration garden, adventure loop, play area, shelter, and restroom. There's primary trails and secondary trails. These are the disc golf holes, these little symbols here. There's an 18-hole disc golf course. This is an off-leash dog area here to the north. And then over here on the east, you'll see, this is east of Carpenter, here's Carpenter Road here. You'll see a maintenance facility so the notion is for park maintenance to be housed there. Smaller scale to begin with, and then with expansion opportunities. Here we're moving to the west here. So you'll see more of the primary trails. You'll see an environmental learning center type trail. They call it a center, but it's actually just a marked trail of education. There is a small community event space that you can have a wedding or a class with an expansion phases to be a full-blown environmental learning center, potentially if the right partner came forward and it worked out financially. As we move north, you'll see this is the north parcel here. You can see the full 18 holes of the disc golf, which goes kind of through the forest. There's also other trail opportunities that don't conflict with the disc golf out here, through here. This is the cross-country overlay. So here we go, we're moving further south to the site. And so this is like the open event space, but it can be used for a regional cross-country meet. And so the dimensions match up with what a regional meet would require, with the start area, the finish area, and the route would go kind of like this. And so for these regional type meets, they like to keep the course pretty tight so that they can videotape the whole thing. So they're not running off, even though there's tons of space at this site. Those other trails would be more for like a fun run or just for recreational use, whereas an actual cross-country meet would need to be within this perimeter here. So that was kind of interesting to learn. Moving west over to the Pleasant Glade parcel, You'll see here some parking. As I stated before, there's a overlook. This is a pond right in the middle here. Shelter is scheduled, a play feature, and then again, lots and lots of trail opportunities. Palm Creek Headwaters is the southern portion where we talked about, since there is so many wetlands there, just keeping it extremely natural. There are no primary trails scheduled. It's all secondary, which means that they're just smaller and non-paved. And so you can see the black lines here that show those trail systems. Then moving over to the east side of Carpenter, this shows the 31st Street Avenue extension, which will be a city road project that will come right through here. You can see the maintenance facility again, and then these are all primary and secondary trails that you see here. Moving to the north on this parcel here, you'll see more trails. This is the mountain bike trail that we talked about, and it's beginner level, so more for families, not technical trail systems. And then we talked about the potential in the future of a zip line or obstacle course up in the canopy in this section here. That's not shown on the map. That's going to be in the narrative that you'll read for the master plan. Because again, it would have to be the right partner that steps forward, and they have to make sense to do so. This last portion I'll show you is this northwest corner. This would have the least development of all. This is all completely wet through here. There's a big ravine. So the only thing that would go here is an overlook potentially. And this would probably be the very last thing, because as you can see, this is residents right here, and they're surrounded by park property on almost all sides. And so don't want to put something in there that is going to draw people without any type of parking. So that would probably be one of the very last things. Here we are in our process. We have open house number 3 coming up next week. We encourage park board members to attend if you're interested, but you don't have to, because you will be getting debriefed just like after all of our other open houses. So don't feel pressured to go to that. Board of Park Commissioners, this is tonight actually, but Juliet, the consultant, she'll be coming to the December meeting and to your January meeting, because we're going to be hitting the final phase of this project. And so it's going to be really important to wrap it up and have Park Board make a recommendation. After open house number 3, they will have a survey that'll be on our project website that'll actually be open all the way till the end of November. So people who couldn't make the open house will be able to weigh in with their feedback. And so what's going to be different about open house number 3, to this point, it's been really focused on what amenities are going into the park. This one is going to shift over to phasing. So the consultants are going to show a phase 1 that has been identified, but then they're going to be asking the public what phase 2 should consist of, and they will present a few scenarios on that. Also, great news, we're finally going to be getting very soon a rough order of magnitude cost estimate. I've been anxiously awaiting, like, how much would phase 1 be, right? And so they should have that for us pretty soon. They said they were trying to get it before the workshop, but they don't know if it'll actually be ready, but it'll be close. So yeah, I think that's about it. We'll just ultimately, we're getting to the January 20th and or February 3rd city council meeting for final review. And before that point, we will get a recommendation from you all. So happy to answer questions. This slide just shows how people can stay involved. And I think I shared with the new commissioners at the orientation, there is a project website. It's right here that you can find any of the old slideshows. So if there's anything you want to look up to help, orient yourself to the project, that's really helpful.
And I have a question about one of the slides. I know you just eliminated the picture, but where the disc golf area is, there's a very large, just kind of open wooded area in between all the disc golf hole. Yeah. So just in between there,
Yes.
like all the disc golf holes and like everything, there's that huge area. Now, is that, and it doesn't look like there's any plans for any additional like secondary trails or anything. Does that area is that not conducive for secondary trails, or is there a reason why we let that open?
Right. So Yeah, so what you'll see in the open house slides is actually the wetlands
Oh, those are wetland. Okay.
that are located in here and the buffer of, so
Okay.
what's really important, yeah, this is a more wet parcel than
Okay.
like this core area one.
Yeah.
Because this parcel was going to be developed. So it was all ready for development to come in.
Okay.
And the city was able to get this property and preserve it for park space with the recession of 2008, 2009. And so the development didn't end up going through. And so yeah, this one is, you could consider it the most developed and the driest of the parcels. So we can do more, put more park amenities there. Whereas this other is, we need to make sure that there's a buffer, especially when you're putting things in like disc golf. Because one of the, go back to
I'm trying to picture it. Is that lower elevation than the rest of it? Because I thought that it kind of goes up there. So and if we are developing with the parking lots, is that area expected to get wetter than it is now because of the runoff to it?
There is an elevation. Let's see. I don't have the right map in this slide to show you the elevations. I apologize for that.
Oh, that's fine.
But you know what? Juliet will be able to answer that really well. There is an elevation change. I've walked it before, and there is kind of like a ravine that goes through there.
I see. Okay.
So, but you can't see it from this map. But one of the goals of this project is to obviously preserve the natural areas. And so, yeah, that's what's so important about keeping that buffer area between any activities and the wetlands.
Perfect. Okay, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you bet.
Anybody else have questions, comments? For Jen? Cool. Okay. Thank you, Jen. It's exciting to get to this point. Yeah, this will be great. This is great. Okay. So we are postponing 8A, moving on then to 8B, which is the scholarship changes.
Right, that's me. Go ahead, start my video so people can see me. There we go. Okay, so I am currently involved in the scholarship program. Let me just get it to show on my windows, and I will share my screen here. Buying time. Okay, perfect. So I'm in charge of the scholarship program. And that's, as I'm sure anyone that doesn't know, we basically reserve funds for families that are in need so they can have scholarship money and still enroll their children in programs, their families in programs, and still take part in Lacey's Parks, Culture, and Recreation Department programs. We recently shifted how we run the program, and we've gone from quarters to trimesters. So we merged spring and winter into one trimester. So when we reviewed the documentation, when we reviewed all of the different forms that they have to fill out, we reviewed how we apply the scholarship. So since we've changed, we decided we need to reevaluate that award amount just for that one combined quarter. And it's the recommendation of the Parks, Culture, and Recreation Department to merge the winter spring trimester scholarship amount to $200. They typically go $100 a quarter. But because those two are merged, we're recommending $200 for that quarter and summer and fall at $100. Based on the combined quarters, it makes the most sense. It retains the most access. It changes none of the figures for the program, and it continues to enable families to access both winter and spring trimester programs. So that's our recommendation. And then attached, you'll see the policy where I listed out all of the changes that need to happen in these documents. So each trimester, we got to change it to me because I'm the one who's monitoring the program. And I'm determining financial availability, changing everything to trimesters, pretty easy stuff. A lot of it's really just changing the word quarter to trimester. And on the application, we need to delete spring quarter completely and then fuse winter and spring, and then again, change everything to trimesters. And in this portion, we need to just expand on this a little bit more. So change this to a $200 credit for winter, spring, and then $100 credit to be used on summer and fall programs. Again, changing everything to trimesters. And these are the changes that we're recommending for the scholarship program. So to recap, we're recommending that we update the winter and spring combined amount to $200 while leaving the other two trimesters at $100, and then changing all the language to reflect the changes. Does that make sense? Does anyone have questions?
It does. And Aram, so you and I would have seen this before. So we did approve, the Parks Board did approve all this language previously. So all we're looking at now is just the amended wording. Any new commissioners have questions? Hearing none. Let's see. So can we get a motion to approve the revised scholarship application paperwork, whatever you want to call it?
I will make that motion to approve the amended scholarship paperwork as listed in the meeting.
And I'm happy to second that myself. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did I lose? Did we lose Declan
Yeah.
and Wendy? Just wondering.
I don't see Declan's name. He must have had to jump off. Yeah, I don't see Wendy's name either.
So I guess what
Oh,
I'm
here she
wondering,
comes. She's
I'm
back.
sorry,
I see her popped back in. So
Okay. because I'm thinking we need 4 votes technically.
yeah, we do. So we'll just check in with Wendy here
Sure.
for a second.
Yes,
Declan.
I approve.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
For
Okay,
some
cool.
reason, it keeps cutting in and out, like it's dropping me off of this call. So
Oh.
it's kind of like,
That's frustrating.
I'm having a great time. I'm just working through the system.
No. So did
If
you,
we could get back together, like in person, I'd be ever so happy.
wouldn't it be nice? Okay, so I just want to make sure, Wendy, that what you're approving, what you're voting yes on is 8B, which is the scholarship changes. We just had some language changing from quarterly to trimester.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, great.
Yep. Thank you.
Sure, thank you too. So so that passed. And then I know, Jen, we're just going to maybe talk a little bit about the 8C and D, the accomplishments and work plan, but we are not going to vote tonight.
Right, so I will pull this up. Can you guys see the accomplishments?
Not yet. There you go. Yes.
And you see okay, cool. Yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know. What we'll do is bring this back next time.
Yeah.
One of the things there's a couple of these that we're gonna finish off right here at the end of the year. So like this one, Chinquale equipment agreements coming at you next meeting. We just did this one here. I'm gonna bring the rack gravel parking lot design to you for the next one as well. One of the things I recommend is, after thinking about this a little bit more today, I think that for the Greg Cuyo Park, for this one here, I think that we should count this as a 90% completion by the end of the year. So I would recommend putting that under other noteworthy achievements, because that's been a big project this year.
Sounds good.
And then I would add expanding the board from 5 to 7 members. And then I would add all commissioners renewing their open public meetings training, probably to other noteworthy. So I thought of a few more.
Excellent.
But yeah, happy to. So for those new commissioners, we highlight the items from the work plan that were finished in a given year for accomplishments. And then we roll everything else. We'll include those plus some new ones on the work plan for next year. So we just use the same format, so it keeps it kind of simple. So happy to answer questions about accomplishments, if anybody has any.
Any questions? Good. Cool. And then, well, you kind of touched on the work plan as well. Did you want anything more you wanted to say on the work plan?
So let's see, let me know when you can see this.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the draft work plan. So yep, so basically what I did is I took anything that wasn't fit. Well, we have the ongoing ones that just go onto the next work plan always. So we work on those things throughout the year. And then I brought any of the items that weren't finished, that won't be finished in 21 over to 22. And then I added the budget approval projects that we got in. So that's new information for you guys. And I actually, in my report, I have that scheduled for an update. There's a document in your packet on that one too. But on this one, two things that I would recommend changes to. We might want to put, so this one, the initial community outreach project is going to be done with Jason, like kind of that's, stage 1, but I think there's going to be some more, obviously. So I think we should put this on here as like a stage 2 or part 2. And then this one here, the Nisqually Fields. So this one in the past, the notion has been working with the school district at the old Bucknell or Nisqually site to put in sports fields. The school district has abandoned that notion or gone away from it because they have a really big need, which is, this is just a recent development that I haven't shared with you yet. So I think we should change this to Nisqually site early learning and putting it up here because the school district wants to invite us to the table to talk about early learning opportunities. And there's apparently some pretty big grant funding and opportunities available. So they want to, see what different partners could provide at this site for early learning. They're needing to serve about 500 pre-K students. And this is the site that makes the most sense. So that's kind of exciting for a movement on that item. Yeah, so other than that, there was some other items that we talked about last meeting that I added on there, but I won't go through them since everybody's not here.
Okay.
But happy to
Sounds
answer.
good. So this is really just an overview at this point.
Yeah, and just if you could review it before the next meeting because that's when we'll ask for an action.
Need to vote. Okay. Any questions from the new commissioners? Just checking in. Okay. We are skipping 8E, the training. So moving on to 9, the director's report. We're skipping 9A, but the sports commission. Director's report for the sports commission.
Yeah, so we'll have Sue report out on that.
Yeah, we'll be doing, they have the annual awards presentation this evening. It's at 7:00. It's Zoom. If you were interested, you can still go to Olympia and Beyond and register. Starts at 7:00, so it's free. So they'll be doing for a female and male high school athletes of the year, collegiate athletes of the year, distinguished contributor of the year. There's a number of different awards. It's going to be a pretty nice little presentation, but it is all going to be Zoom. So if you were interested, please log into that. That'd be great to have all that support. Next, I think I'm next to talk about programs.
Yes.
They are actually very interested in letting you know what they're doing this time. So they gave me, I got a whole sheet worth for you guys. For the facilities, the community center and the Jacob Smith are starting to increase their reservations. We're getting more and more, and some of the smaller state groups are coming back and booking some trainings. So that's a positive sign. We're still requiring masks until they get in and get seated or if they're eating and drinking, but we are starting to get some more business, which is nice. The Lacey Depot this year, we were reserved it from July to September. They had a whole total of 10 rentals for the Lacey Depot. For the rest of the shelters, we had a total this summer of 294 reservations between the RAC, which had 121, Rainier Vista had 93, and Woodland Creek Community Park had 80. We also held a bus rodeo out at the Regional Athletic Complex last week. That was always kind of interesting and fun to watch. And Sean is starting his winter league softball. Well, they've got 8 teams in each division. So people are still getting out and doing things. For the aquatics, Jenny and Marilyn have 129 participants in lessons with 156 people on the wait list. We just can't get enough staff to be able to accommodate what we'd like to.
Yeah.
Even the aquatic fitness, there's 66 participants and there's still 32 people on the wait list. So it shows that that's what you saw with wanting a pool. There's definitely a demand. We just have to figure out a way to meet the staffing shortages for that. Cultural programs are up and they're growing strong. We've got a bunch of wait lists. We are offering a new program this year. It's called Earn a Bike Class. It's put on by Intercity Transit, and the kids learn bicycle safety. And at the end of the class, they get a helmet and a refurbished bike at a cost of only $5. We aren't paying for it. It's all going through Intercity Transit. But so
Cool.
these kids that don't have an opportunity, don't have a bike, can go take the class and for a small price come out of there with a bike as well as a helmet. So that's pretty neat opportunity for them. Holidays are right around the corner. We will be doing the Lacey Parade and tree lighting. It's scheduled for Monday, December 6th at 6:30. Love for everybody to come out and enjoy that. It's always a great time. We are doing the Signing Santa again this year. That'll be Friday, December 3rd, Chambers Prairie Elementary, as well as instead of doing the breakfast with Santa, Jeanette and Jordan are going to be doing a brunch with Santa. Smaller, we're doing 2 different times, and they're doing it in a smaller group so that each family can have their own table. So we can keep people segregated that way. The food is all going to be pre-prepared, so the Lions aren't going to have to be pushing each other around in the kitchen this year. But there'll still be a photo booth and stuff with Santa Claus, so that's neat. For sports, for the youth deals, we have floorball going. Sprouts youth basketball is about ready to kick off. The first games are the 20th. There's over 200 kids participating. So youth sports interest keeps continuing to increase. And we're also going to be offering the Elks Hoop Shoot again this year. We weren't able to run it the last couple of years, but this upcoming, I think it's in the end of November, 1st of December, we are going to be able to run it again. That's it. Everybody's
Cool.
excited. Good times.
There's a lot going on. And
Yeah,
it's nice to see some of this stuff coming back.
yeah, it's great. So
Feels good.
staff's doing very well. So very happy.
Yay. Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
Any questions? Anyone? Cool. Anything construction or planning tonight? No. Grants and budget, volunteers.
I did want to show it. Well, in your packet, you've got the budget proposals. So there's the regular budget, which we, balance and we send in our
Right.
regular line items for general budgeting, and then we also we're able to submit proposals. So usually I will share with the board the proposals that will be moving forward and the ones that won't be. And so I just listed everything out that I had submitted requests for, and then I put a line through the ones that won't be moving forward. So we had a couple 2020 proposals that got approved, then canceled due to COVID, put them back through. And so Wonderwood Park and Trail Court upgrades is going through. And so are the outdoor ping pong tables finally. So that's exciting. And you all will be involved in that project. Something that we are also going to be doing is park facility security camera expansions. We've had more and more of a need to put up cameras, unfortunately, to try to keep vandalism and theft in check. And then also we have some funds approved to do a RAC Phase 3 preliminary look at what could go on that property. This is a big one, the RAC parking lot construction. That is one that the PFD, Public Facility District funding, will be used to finally finish the parking lot at the RAC and be able to provide a bus pullout area. And now these are all pending final council approval, which happens in December. And then we will be continuing the police overtime program at Long Lake Park. As you know, it's been very successful and very helpful out there. So those are the budget requests that are getting moved forward. And I don't have anything else except for under miscellaneous, I see Jamie Oakland is here and didn't know if he had anything that he wanted to report out or.
Yeah, I guess we just have two projects we're trying to finish up for the year. We have fencing at Lake Point Park around the pickleball court that is scheduled to be installed here at the end of the month. And then actually next week out at the rack will be we have a contract with a company out of Eastern Washington to come and replace the transitions at two of the baseball infield outfield lips. So essentially you have artificial infields that are constructed synthetic surface that meet with kind of natural grass outfields. And so over time, as the organic matter builds up on the grass outfields, it creates kind of a lip and a trip hazard and a playability issue. And so we have a contractor coming in next week to strip out that transition, that lip, regrade it, and then put some sod down. So just to re-level that playing surface. Those are our two projects.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie.
So commissioners, at this point in every meeting, you have an opportunity to check in, share with us anything you've done that's either related to the Parks Board or, anything of interest that you might want to share. It's really just kind of your moment to share with the group anything that's come up for you in the past month. Anybody?
I went to the Lacey new food bank that was open in September before I went on my little sabbatical there for a month. And I really enjoyed that. It was a great opportunity to get out and work with the community in that garden area in the back. And then they have free food that's coming out from the garden. It was a wonderful experience. So that right there, and Mercy, who is running that program, is amazing. So I just wanted to give an applaud to her for that. And then this last weekend, I kind of did a drive out because I was looking at a lot of the different park areas. So that area, the Kulu Park, is beautiful. I love the canopy. I love the rolling hills. A concern I had is that it's 50 miles an hour and I only really want to go like 20 so I can go through those hills, and it was so beautiful out there. So that was my only recommendation, is that speed area at 50 miles, it's just going to be too fast. You have to really sit back and enjoy that area. It was so beautiful. And I really liked your pictures, Jen, out there in the wilderness. It was gorgeous. But yeah, I really am excited about that project. And then the one that's there also, is it McClellan, or there's another park out there with a trail next to it, William.
Oh, the William Ives Trail.
Yeah, and I had to use my GPS on there, but there's not that little sign that's right there. I kind of drove past it, and so I didn't know if there was a way to put a little marker or something inside the park, or if there is one, I may have missed it. But that park is beautiful as well, with a lot of opportunity for growth there. So that was beautiful as well. But the trail I would have totally missed if I wasn't really like looking for it, because you have to walk across the street to park in the park, and I think that's the only parking area that's really there is at that park. So I'm not sure if that's something to look at, but that was my only concern with that one. And then Thornberry and Lake Point, there was soccer games galore. There were kids everywhere at both of those parks. The parking is a little unnerving. I don't know how you would get an ambulance in there, a fire truck in there, police, if you needed any assistance out in those, because I know they're neighborhood parks.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a scheduling issue. We typically try to balance the scheduling a little bit more than what happened. So that was the last Saturday that those fields are actually open.
Oh, okay.
And so there won't be that issue moving forward for the next several months until spring, but that's actually going to be in your packet next month.
Oh, yeah.
We got some correspondence about but we are, Sue is actually working with the person who wrote in, and also with our scheduling staff, just to make sure that we balance it a little bit better next year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because they're beautiful parks. It's just a little concerning when I was trying to drive through there. If I was a parent, I'd be very concerned that it was the trap. You couldn't even drive through some of those areas. You had to wait for other cars to pass or back up, drive backwards with cars everywhere. But I'm really impressed with all the work on all the parks that I had not been to recently. So going back and looking at all of those, I was really impressed.
Thanks, Wendy.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else tonight? No. Chair's report. Oh, I should have thought of this. Did I have anything to say? I guess I just want to say really, again, welcome to our new commissioners. Very excited to have fresh perspectives, new ideas, energy. And, whenever you add a person to any group, it changes the dynamic. I look forward to that as well. It's going to be exciting just having an increased voices. I mean, increased representation, more diversity on the board. So just excited to have you. And I'm sorry, Declan is also not here, but very excited to also have a student participant back in our mix. That's all I got. Committee reports, nothing, I assume, Jen?
Nothing.
Yeah. Boom. See? So how late would we have gone if we added all those other things? Unless anybody has anything else, I think we're adjourned promptly at 7:00. Boom.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
High five.
Mic drop.
Thank you.
Mic drop. Thanks, everybody. That was a great meeting. Thanks.
See you in December.
See you in December.